morning, everybody. Today is a special day. My mum would have been 83 years old today. And each year on her birthday, I celebrate because she deserves to be celebrated. And today I thought, what a better way of celebrating her than her chocolate eclairs. Now, Mum was well known in the community for just churning out these chocolate eclairs. And she did them for church bazaars. She did them for my dad's running club. She just did them for everybody. And when I was a very young little girl, we lived in a very, very small house. And the kitchen was literally this size. And she would make these eclairs by the hundreds. So there was eclairs everywhere. And she knew exactly how many she had. Dare you touch one? So, to celebrate her, it's all about beautiful chocolate eclairs. And they are simple to make. It's a choux pastry. It's 4 basic ingredients to make the shell. It's water, butter, eggs and flour. And that is what choux pastry is made up of. Her secret was always about the last egg. So she would never add the last egg completely. She would add it little bit by little bit. And just by looking at the mixture, she would tell whether it would be a good risen eclair or one of those floppy eclairs. And she used to get so mad when she'd take a batch out of the oven and it wasn't to her satisfaction. She would just have to start all over again. And she would. She wouldn't even think twice because everybody got a perfect eclair. So, let's get started. Butter and water in the pot. And it's very, very important that the water does not come to the boil until all the butter is melted. So you start it off gently, and once the butter is melted, you then bring it up to the boil. And once it boils, it is such a quick process. You add the flour all at once, you beat, and she did it all by hand. She had no mixers of any kind. She had a wooden spoon. So let's get started. So, I've had my butter and water on here for a while. So the butter is nicely melted. As you can see, it's all melted. And I'm going to bring that up to the boil. And then I'm going to add my flour all in one go. And then with my wooden spoon, I am going to stir and stir and stir until it all comes together in a ball. My water is boiling. In goes my flour and stir. Stir, stir, stir. What you want to do is you want to get it into a beautiful ball of dough, and then you want to cook it just a little bit more to get that gluten working. And this is a beautiful ball of dough. Look at that. Look at that. It's just beautiful. And now you take it off the heat and you let it cool a bit before you start adding your eggs. So heat off. And because it's formed a ball, I now am going to open it up just to let it help it along with its cooling. What happens if you add your eggs now? It is so hot, it starts to actually cook them. And if you're not quick enough in beating it, you'll end up with bits of white, which doesn't look nice and is not going to help you. So we're going to let it cool a bit. And to hasten it along, I am just going to keep stirring it for a little while because I like mixing it in this pot. So I don't want to change the pot. I'm just going to stir it around. I'm going to do that for a while until it is cool enough to add my eggs. So my mixture has cooled and it's time to add my eggs. Use a bit of muscle. So, one at a time. Plop. And now this is where people often think, oh no, it's all going funny, because it's actually quite hard to get that first egg incorporated. But it just takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of elbow grease. See, it all starts breaking up like this. And you think, is it ever going to become smooth again? And it does. It's just patience. See, still all gloopy and blobby and not smooth. So, make it whipping. And it's hard. And she did this for hundreds of them. And you will watch the mixture change with each addition of egg. So it's gone back into a ball. I've incorporated that egg. Next. It gets easier. It's such a wonderful pastry to make because it's versatile. You can do it sweet or you can do it savory. And there's some wonderful savory recipes. Me personally, I prefer it sweet. That's just me. Still gloopy, but I'm getting there. There we go. You feel it coming together. It gets shinier. Time for another egg. And sometimes if your eggs are smaller, you actually need an extra one. So you always have to take that into consideration when making it. See, it's still all gloopy, not coming together. It needs a bit more elbow grease. Starting to come together. Now, one thing she always said to me, because of that last egg, it's better to have a firmer mixture than a looser mixture. So it's very important that you watch that when you do add that egg at the end. See it all coming together. And now for the last egg. Maybe, maybe not. So that last egg gets whisked up. And add it little bit by little bit. My oven is preheating already. I take it up to 220, and this pastry likes to go into a really hot oven. And what I do is I sprinkle some drops of water on the baking sheet to create steam to help it along its way. And once it is risen, I reduce the temperature to 180 so that it can then start crisping up. So look, this is becoming shiny. And that's what we're looking for. But this still needs a little bit more egg. And maybe today I'll use all the egg. Maybe today I'll need an extra egg. You just don't know. If it was somebody's birthday, my mum would always say, "Can I bring a plate of eclairs along?" And it was never, "No, thank you, Jane." It was always, "Oh, that would be lovely, Jane." And she loved it. And her chocolate eclairs was not all about fresh cream and super duper chocolate. No, it was about a cream imitation called Olive beer and good old Cadbury's chocolate. And they were the best. Right, it's the last of that egg. Let's see. Now I'm going to need another bit of egg, because that is still far too stiff. And that's how she used to break her egg. It's funny, I never do that. I've just done that now. Always cracking it with the fork. Now I'm just bashing it around. She was very gentle. A little bit. This is where it can all go pear-shaped. So, just a little bit. Need a little bit more. Right, let's beat. This might just be it. It is smooth, it is shiny, and let's see where it's at. No, maybe a little bit more. Feels better. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And now it is ready to be put onto its baking sheets. And in the early days, Mum never had a piping bag, so it was spoons. And that's what I'm going to do. They are going to be round. And the ice cream scoop doesn't work quite right here, so it is 2 spoons. I don't want to make them too big. we go. And I'll just carry on doing it like this until all my mixture is used. By then the oven will be ready for them and they'll be on their way. So I'll just carry on. So there they are. And now just a little drizzle of water just in between them to create that steam that is going to help them puff up when I put them into that hot oven. And there will be a drizzle of water as I go to the oven. But that's okay, it's only water. Oh, these are beautifully risen. Look at this. Those were those little blobs that were put on the baking sheet. And now these big, beautiful casings. And what we have to do, very, very important, as they come out the oven, they need to be opened up. And I use my little pointy knife to let that steam escape. It is so important. That way they remain crisp and beautiful. So I'm just doing this quickly, and this little knife works so beautifully. Kind of just carves away, leaves a little hole big enough for steam to escape. But they are beautiful. And they're going to be left to cool down. And once they're completely cold, I will fill them and top them. But this is a very important step to keeping them crisp. The knitting needle works, but this works the best for me. And you've got to be really quick because that steam sitting inside with nowhere to go makes them soft very quickly. And we don't want that. See, already starting to go soft. That steam needs to come out. There we go. Is that it? No, a few more. Here we go. Yummy. Needs to cool. So these have cooled beautifully. And I need you to listen. It's all still crisp. So what she used to do, she used to cut them open. And line them up. Bottoms on one side and tops on one side. Like that. And then she would fill it with her imitation cream, which they now call a dessert topping. And she would fill it with the sweetened cream, which had a little bit of vanilla essence in it, just to give it a bit of extra flavor. Like that. And then top them. And then the chocolate. And she was always very generous with her chocolate. Nothing fancy, just your ordinary slab bought in the supermarket. Sweet. Like that. And that was my mum's most famous chocolate eclairs. So let's have a bite. Let's make a mess all over the place. Bit messy to eat. Look at that beautiful filling, a beautiful amount of chocolate. And if I close my eyes, it takes me right back to the little girl in that very small kitchen where Mum had eclairs everywhere. They are decadent and they are very special to me. A beautiful memory. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. I think I've got sort of chocolate everywhere.